Hey, it's Rachel J, and this is Cultivator Kitchen. Today I'm going to share my #1 most important tip for an awesome garden, and we're going to add a new raised bed today. This past fall, my parents bought me a new covered raised bed, and today it's March and we're actually going to assemble it and get it set up, and I'm going to tell you my best way to get started with gardening. But first, let's build this bed. All right, we have a brand new raised bed. It's 2 foot by 8 foot right in front of our existing raised beds. And now it's time to add on the top and fill it with soil. We got the top on this one and it latches nicely, but sadly the other one, the latch spacing is off, even though this is perfectly lined up. So we're gonna fix that and then this is good to go. We have our new raised bed built and now we're gonna fill it with soil. The #1 most important thing for a successful garden, especially a raised bed garden, is your soil. When I first started gardening, I did so much research on what should be in the soil, and in the beginning, my husband thought, why don't we just put regular garden soil? It'll work just as well. So I challenged him, and the first year we had a garden, one section of it he put regular garden soil in, and the results were terrible compared to my soil mixture. And everyone that comes by my garden is impressed that everything is so huge and so lush, and I never water. And that's because I take the time and care to put the soil mixture in correctly right away. So I'm gonna share all my soil secrets with you guys. Soil really needs to have the maximum nutrition and water retention and air in there in order for things to grow properly and fruit well. And that's what I do. I don't have an irrigation system. I barely water my garden. I do minimal weeding, and that's because of the soil. So if you want nice, rich, dark soil like this, which has a lot of moisture and life in it and lots of nutrition, I'm gonna show you guys how I make this happen. And you can see in the beds we've already filled that we just need to add a little topper on it. I do not till, I do not turn up my soil. So in addition to us filling that small raised bed today, we're also going to put some additional soil and fill in the top of these beds. And I will show you guys my soil mixture and soil amendments that I use. One of the most important components of your soil is something that's completely free if you get it started, and that is compost. So this is my compost bin. We'll be using compost from here today. Compost you can make just from food scraps in your kitchen and yard waste clippings, and it's some of the most nutrient dense material that you can add to your soil. This is my compost. And you can see it's been there a few months. It's still warm in here, even though it's been freezing temperatures outside for months, and it's breaking down very nicely. It's nice and rich, it's moist and warm, and this is gonna get mixed in with everything else I'm showing you today. Again, this is free, and it's like gold. So you would pay a lot of money for this much compost in the store, so you really wanna be using those kitchen scraps. Our compost is probably lighter colored than a lot of other people's. We use pine shavings, pine pellets, as our carbon, and it works really, really well. It absorbs moisture and smells. This doesn't smell at all. This smells delicious, actually. It smells like healthy, rich compost, and it doesn't smell like rotting or food scraps at all. Leave a comment below if you'd like me to do a whole video on composting. I'm happy to show that to you guys. In addition to compost, the other most important thing is peat moss. Peat moss is going to add a ton of air and growth to your soil, and it is amazing for water retention. It's really nutrient dense and nice and spongy. So this is organic raised bed potting soil, and this is peat moss. I'm going to put a 2-1-1 ratio in my raised beds. 2 parts peat moss, 1 part soil, and 1 part compost. In addition, I will have some soil amendments that I add on top. I'm going to use some organic vermiculite. This helps again with soil compaction and moisture retention, much like the peat moss. And this, I'm just going to put a sprinkle of it in my soil mixture, as well as azomite. This is lime rock dust, and it is full of trace minerals. So it's going to add a lot more nutrition to your soil, which makes your vegetables and fruits taste so, so good and have more nutrition than the ones that you're getting in the grocery store. So in addition to my free homegrown compost, this is everything we're putting in the raised beds today. One other soil amendment that I forgot to mention, and I don't have it every year, but I'm going to have it this year, is earthworm castings. These help fertilize your plants as well, improve plant growth, and they're just great nutrition for the soil. So this is optional, but I'm going to sprinkle some of this on as well. So there you go. That's everything that I do. It only takes a few minutes. I did mix everything in a little bit, and I'll show you the final product. Here we go. The raised bed is all filled. I've got my soil amendments in there and my soil mixture, and this is ready to be wet down and seeds to be added. Here is the back row of beds. I've got this all done with the soil, peat moss, and compost on top of last year's soil, no tilling. I didn't do this bed because, as you can see, my garlic is coming up wonderfully. And then we did this row as well, and we're finishing the last row right now. Hey everyone, it's day 2. We're finishing up with adding our soil amendments today, and then we will cover everything with cardboard until we're ready to plant. All right, I've added the azomite, vermiculite, and earthworm castings to the top of all these beds. I'm going to rake it in, and then we're going to wet these down with some water. To mix my soil amendments in, I'm just going really gently over the surface and moving it back and forth. I don't want to disturb the layers underneath that we've built up over the past 8 years. So I'm going to keep those there. If this is your first time filling a bed, then feel free to mix everything together. But I'm just going to gently mix the top layer. All right, we're all done. We covered 11 beds with cardboard, and they're going to sleep with all those nutrients until we are ready to plant. Day 2 outside is done. All the beds are ready until we're good to plant. And you guys have seen my #1 garden secret, and that's in my soil mixture. It's the most important thing you can do to add nutrients to your food, to have maximum growth. It'll grow like crazy, and water retention so you don't have to water. Next video you'll be seeing for my garden will be how I start seeds. So look forward to that video. Bye for now.